that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
Man or woman who hates communism the most, that is to say, the man or woman who knows the least about communism, is the man or woman who wants to know the least about communism. That is to say, snakes are my enemies. They come to bite me, and I don't even want to know what they look like.
We're going to see about stopping, regardless of what these people think we should do. Because school is not important, and work is not important. Nothing's more important than stopping fascism, because fascism will stop us all.
Hey, yo. Welcome to the Forest Podcast, your broadcast for pods, which stands for Proletariat on Demand. That's what this is. This is Comrade Villain. I'm here with
a pretty bad comrade.
my other comrade. He's pretty bad. Pretty bad comrade. And other than being a Proletariat on Demand podcast, what is this, Brent? I mean, pretty bad.
Oh, you mean my intro?
Oh, you don't have that lined up?
I did not have that lined up. I always forget about that. Where is it? Pod intro.
This is your place for large and small news. We got it all. I know it rhymes.
Welcome to the Forest Pod, where we do things. There it is. Welcome to the Forest Pod, where we talk about geopolitics, culture, technology, identity, and everything in between. We dig into the history that's been forgotten or misused to get to the root of some of these issues. In a world where we're increasingly distracted, we pump the brakes, offer some thoughtful takes, and not just reactions. We read the tea leaves while keeping a broad perspective so not to get lost in the weeds. We certainly don't know it all. We're here learning as we grow, so be patient with us. Sit back and enjoy the show. This is the Forest Pod. Welcome back.
Welcome, everybody. I know you've been waiting at the edge of your seat for the next pod to drop. It's here. It's dropping. What's up, man? You been watching the World Cup?
Yeah, I've been watching it some, not as much as I'd like, but I've been watching the highlights and
based on everyone you've
watching
seen,
some of the games
so far. Who you think is the best team right now?
Cabo Verde, baby. Let's go.
Wait. Cabo Verde.
Let's get it.
Who are they playing?
I don't know who they're playing next. Not sure.
They haven't been knocked out?
I don't think so.
Damn, okay.
I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it just started. I know the Ivorians got knocked out, which I was really let down by because I love saying Ivorian, and I don't think I'm going to get to say it because nobody references the Ivory Coast anymore.
They play Argentina Friday.
Okay.
So they're still in it, but that's going to be a tough match. Tough, playing Messi.
Yeah, Argentina, Messi. He's still, I think he has the most goals right now.
Yeah.
With the goal, going for the Golden Boot.
In World Cup history or
no,
in this World Cup?
Yeah,
Okay. Kylian Mbappe got 2 today, so I'm not sure.
I did see that, Mbappe, and I think France. I think they're playing the best from everybody I've seen. I think they're probably gonna be. If I had to bet, if I was a Cal She man, that's what I would go with.
Mm-hmm.
I know my homeboy that I used to work with. He got into gambling. He's a little bit addicted. He just lost like $1,000 yesterday on the World Cup.
Dang, well, yeah, he's definitely got an issue.
Parlays.
Yeah.
Once you get into parlays, that's whenever you know you're addicted.
I mean, that's the fun part though about it.
Exactly.
I mean, if I was
addicting about it.
Yeah, if I was doing it, I would be doing parlays.
I know, and that's what's addicting about it.
Yeah.
Because you can really hit a lick, but it's also like, what are the odds all these things happen?
Right. My brother's hit some big parlays before, so it can definitely happen.
I mean, you get.
And my cousins.
You won a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's won like a few $1,000s.
Okay.
At one time, he hit me up and told me to put in a bet, and I won like $100. I was like, dang.
So you only bet like what?
Not much, like $5 or $10. Yeah.
Really, 5 or 10? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't crazy. That's the only reason I did it, because he knows I don't bet, and he was like trying to get me to do it. I think he got like some free money to play with since I signed up and stuff. And he told me, all right, just put these bets in, and I put them in, I hit.
Okay. Well, hey.
But yeah. Anyway, it can be
Did you-
addicting.
Did you use Kalshi, brought to you by Giannis?
Nah. Who? By who?
Giannis. It's Antetokounmpo.
Oh, he's a sponsor. Are you sponsored by them?
Yeah, he signed a deal with Kalshi.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's great. Speaking of, he's in Miami now. He got traded to Miami.
Yeah, I did see that. So.
That was pretty wild. John Morant got traded.
Yep, to Portland.
Yep.
Yeah, Kawhi's going back to Toronto.
Yep. And then LaMelo
It's going to
to Minnesota
Timberwolves.
playing with Ant.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
If he plays,
Why wouldn't he?
because he's injured all the fucking time. He's got
No,
a metal in his ankle. What are you talking
He's
about?
not injured all the time.
He plays like
he played most of the last season.
I know. And Charlotte was like sell high.
And they were what?
I think they're selling high. I think they're like, we got a little good run out of him. But they weren't playing him a lot of minutes. He doesn't play a lot of minutes, and he doesn't play. If you look at his seasons, he don't play a lot of games. He has like a lot of 20-something game seasons because he's always injured.
Well, I mean, he's
like street clothes. AD.
We'll see. Nah, I won't go that far yet. I won't go that far. First of all, he's young still. So he had some early injuries. We'll see how it goes. I mean, AD is a little different because
He's a big man. Big men always get injured.
that and like he was well into his career and just stopped playing altogether. I mean, he was injured every season for like 3 or 4 seasons late in his career. So I feel like LaMelo never really.
He's been injured like every season early in his career.
But he's like 24, 25.
I don't know. It's a gamble. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know.
I think Julius Randle was playing good with them. At least at
Did
the
they
end
get
of the season.
they got rid of Julius?
He ended up in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, that's tough. I don't know if I would have got rid of Julius.
That's too bad for him because Brooklyn sucks.
Yeah, that's.
It would suck to be the Brooklyn team, especially after the Knicks just won.
Oh no, man. Poor Brooklyn.
Their stadium is sells out more for the women's team. What's the female team up there?
I should know that.
Me too.
I don't.
But anyways, that's how shitty the Nets are. But yeah. So speaking of basketball, you saw the draft?
No, it already happened.
Yeah, AJ DeBonta went to the Wizards. Number 2 was Utah, Darren Peterson. That's where he went. Speaking of Utah, I'm gonna use that as a segue to talk about some politics shit. This is our buddy Kevin Leary from the Shark Tank.
O'Leary.
I mean, fuck, I wish it wasn't O'Leary because I probably
Isn't
think
it
he's
O'Leary?
Irish. It is O'Leary,
Yeah.
but he doesn't deserve to be Irish. He's actually Canadian, just so you know. I don't know what that's about. But this is very interesting. So he's trying to do this data center in Utah, getting a lot of pushback. A lot of his talking points, what he's talking about this is we got to do this because China is going to beat us in this AI race. China is this big bad boogeyman. And I guess recently he called out some activists on Fox News saying that they were funded by China. And I'm just going to let this play out because this is their response. The 2 women that he called out is pretty interesting.
Elevate Strategies, also a cell operating inside of Utah. Gabby Finlayson. Gabby, what are you doing? And who's paying you?
Well, hi, hello. It's me, Gabby Finlayson. What am I doing? Apparently, we've reached the part of the Stratos data center journey where Kevin O'Leary goes on national Fox News to accuse us of being cells for the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, who would want us to stop building our electrical grid? Which adversary would want that? There's only one. It's China.
So I paused it right here because that's hilarious. Out of all of our adversaries, only one of them wants us to pause our electrical grid. Which one is that, Brent? Obviously, it's China. All the other adversaries, they're actually pretty nice. They don't really care if we pause our electrical grid. It's fucking wild, bro. The way he's trying to sell this data center AI shit as we have to do this because China.
Yeah. That's the play right now. Got to beat China.
But again, There's just another. He's been on a lot of these shows. This is the type of arguments he makes.
Yeah.
There's only one person or one country that would not want this. It's China. So obviously, these people that don't want this are getting funded by China. It's like the new George Soros shit. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of that. Was it Tucker Carlson who interviewed him?
Kevin O'Leary,
yeah. And I forgot how the interview went, but basically
Tucker kind of called him out.
Yeah, he called him out on. He was trying to make a similar point. I'm pretty sure in that interview.
One of them was why should taxpayers be funding?
That's what it was. Yeah, that's what
data center. Like Tucker was, when I started a business, the taxpayers don't fund my business.
Right.
Why should they fund your business?
Right.
That's the goal now. Damn,
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary is just the worst, man. I can't stand him. Like if I see him, I change the channel. Well, I don't watch TV, so I watch a different recommended YouTube video.
All right, well, you're not going to be able to change it yet, so here we go.
God.
So what I think is happening, and I got my guys to go a deep dig into the IP addresses, and here's what we found out. This is fascinating. We found 2 cells inside of Utah. Elevate Strategies. Gabby Finlayson. Gabby, what are you doing? And who's paying you? So what I'm doing right now is after getting this data, I'm calling out Gabby, operating in Utah.
So, hi Kevin, we are Elevate Strategies. This is Utah. You might not know it because you're from Canada. This is where we live. Before we get into anything too serious, this is the very scary, very intimidating man that is threatening us. We are not taking the criticism of anyone who is wearing flip-flops and a suit on national television. You know, it's not every day you get called out by first and last name on Fox News by a Canadian billionaire trying to ruin my state.
All right, so just want to pause it one more time, just so we're clear of what's going on here. Yeah, he is a Canadian billionaire from Shark Tank trying to...
He's not a billionaire.
Okay, quote-unquote billionaire. On paper with loans, I don't know. But he's trying to build a data center to invest in this AI shit at a fundamental level, the data center level. And he's trying to do it in the middle of Utah because he figures there's not a lot of people there. Mormons are probably easy to buy off. Turns out not even Mormons want this shit. And so he's like, this must be China funding any activists, specifically these people that he just found, called them out by name, called out another group. And so these women are like, yo, we're not funded by China. So just so you know, this is a third part to this saga. Listen to how it plays out.
Kevin O'Leary appeared as a guest on this program back on May 11th and discussed the ongoing controversy surrounding his planned data center project in Utah. Now, he made certain claims relating to the opponents of that project. Mr. O'Leary has now corrected the record and explained that he has no evidence that the Alliance for a Better Utah, Elevate Strategies, Josh Cantor, Taylor Knuth, or Gabrielle Finlayson are funded by China or the Chinese Communist Party. Oof. Fox News Media is likely likewise aware of no evidence that they are funded by or acting at the direction of or in coordination with Chinese interests in opposing Kevin O'Leary's projects. Fox News Media apologizes for the error. We'll be right back.
Oof, we'll be right back. So yeah, Fox Business platform this man. Say, go ahead, spread your bullshit lies. We'll just rock along with it. I didn't watch the segment, so maybe they added some bullshit too. And then obviously these people are like, okay, we'll see you in court. Got the lawyers. Like, you can't just slander us and say like we're funded by the fucking Communist Party of China.
Right.
And then so he had to put out a statement that said, yeah, you know what? I was wrong. They are not. And then Fox, in their little clip where they aired his like tweet, they're like, oh, by the way, Fox Media also, likewise, she said likewise. Yeah, we don't have any evidence of that either. So, all right, we'll be right back. See you later. That's it. You missed that and you watched the first segment. Well, technically, they corrected it. So
shame.
That's how propaganda works, baby.
That's how it works.
So one more little clip I have on the data center subject. Obviously, this is one of the things that's really uniting, everybody, as far as everybody seems to be pissed about this shit. This is an interview about a farmer, this lady and I guess her mom. Not sure how many people live on this farm. It's a family farm. They offered her like $28 million, $26 million something dollars for the land to build a data center. So obviously they could have took that, lived a good life. and listen to what these people had to say about that.
If it's my way, I'll stay and hold and feed a nation. 26 million doesn't mean anything.
Some people might find it hard to understand how Delcia Bear can turn away a $26 million offer to buy some of her land until you spend a little time with her walking the dirt road she grew up on and in the house her daddy built.
My grandfather and great-grandfather and a whole bunch of family has all lived here for years, paid taxes on it, fed a nation off of it, even raised wheat through the Depression and kept the bread lines up in the United States of America when people didn't have anything else.
Delcia is one of dozens of landowners approached by an anonymous buyer, one of the major players in artificial intelligence, likely Google or Meta or Amazon, to purchase their land. The market value for land in Mason County is about $6,000 an acre. The realtor that came to her door last April offered her and her mother about 10 times that.
They call us old stupid farmers, but we're not. We know whenever our food is disappearing, our lands are disappearing, and we don't have any water. And poison, we know we've had it.
Delcia's mom, Ida Huddleston, is now 82 years old. She says she does not need the money or the hassle. She was born on this land and she plans to die here, and she certainly does not trust the promises made by the AI companies or the people who want them to build here.
So what do you say to the people who are in town that say, hey, this is going to bring jobs, this is going to bring economic prosperity?
I say they're a liar and the truth ain't in them, is what I say. It's a scam.
For Delcia, scam or not, she says she's connected to her home like Scarlett O'Hara was in Gone with the Wind.
As long as she was attached to that land, her spirit never would die. And that's the exact same thing for me right here. As long as I'm on this land, as long as it's feeding me, as long as it's taking care of me, there's nothing that can destroy me if I've got this land.
I would tell you that they're a liar. Ain't no truth in them. It's a scam. Bro. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Where is that at?
Mason County,
Georgia?
Somewhere, America. I don't know. I have to look it up.
Say what state?
It probably did, but I was listening for that. But yeah, it's just...
That's really cool, though.
They offer them 10 times what their land is worth. And they're like, nah. Like, we're good. And it's just because this is how bad data centers are. So this might be the thing. I thought it would be an anti-war effort that kind of united everybody, but it might actually be data centers.
It very well could be. It very well could be. We've seen that this is definitely an issue that is, even conservatives, people who would normally identify as Republican or conservative, understand that this isn't good for the land. I mean, in that way, they are being like traditional conservative, right?
In the Florida subreddit, I've seen there's a libertarian group having a anti-data center rally in Panama City. So like it's across the spectrum.
Yep, and I think we talked about this last time or one of the other ones, but Walton County also shot down. Wait, was that data center or flock?
I think they put a moratorium on the data centers.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it's definitely, look, I saw something. It was a data center like in, I want to say Virginia. And I guess like originally they had told like the surrounding neighborhoods like, oh, don't worry, like, it's
you're not gonna hear it.
You're not gonna, it's not gonna be loud or anything. And apparently like the noise is like so ridiculous. I guess they use generators so they're not sucking off the power grid, and the generators make a lot of noise. And now people are like complaining because they were told that that noise was supposed to only be temporary whenever they first build it, but it's
because the idea was they're going to let you plug into the power grid and use your energy, and people were like, no, fuck that, you can't do that.
Right.
So like, well, I guess we got to keep using the generators. What do you want? Do you want the noise? And I've seen a similar video. It wasn't Virginia, I can't remember where it was, but this community was like, yo, they built this fucking data center. And at first, like, it wasn't a big deal. like people that live close to it, you know, they do hear it and they're like, this is annoying.
Right.
But even people that are like kind of far from it, they had to build huge, I guess it would be like electrical poles, but like the towers. And like they built them like right through this fucking suburban neighborhood. So all these fucking people are pissed off. They're like, now like all our property value sucks because there's these fucking huge electric like cables running through like right by our houses.
Right.
Nobody told us about that when they built the data center.
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, data centers suck. Not a fan. Thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
But yeah, I do have one more thing.
I was in Kentucky, by the way.
Mason County, Kentucky?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been to Kentucky. It's okay. Got some good bourbon. Their college basketball team is good. Go Wildcats. My neighbor is from Kentucky. That's all I got. You got any Kentucky facts?
Thomas Massey just lost his primary there.
Fuck yeah. Actually, no. He was the quote-unquote good Republican, right? That was trying to do the Epstein shit?
Yeah. I was saying he's like a libertarian type Republican.
Whoops. Turn his back on the king. All right. So, yeah. I have one more thing, but I'm going to save it for the end. Do you want to just jump into Juneteenth? Because that's what we're talking about today, by the way, everybody. This is a Juneteenth episode. At the very end of June. Hold on. Is there... Oh, shit. I can get it. If we can get it done, recorded in the next hour, I'll get it uploaded tonight. It's still in June. We're
We
good.
still have the June date on it.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're
Still
good.
the same month.
Yeah. But yeah, you want to jump into it or you want to pause? You good?
Yeah, sorry. Watching this Ecuador-Mexico game.
I missed that. That dude was it a Superman header.
Yeah, that would have been dope. So yeah, we can go ahead and get into this.
Let's do it. Jump into it. Let's go.
All right, we're talking about Juneteenth.
I don't even know what that is, so you're gonna need to explain it to me.
Yes, you do. You know what it is.
Something about the Emancipation Proclamation. I heard.
No, you don't have to play dumb for the podcast.
Well, my dog Spanky told me that.
Yeah, he did. He did say that.
You call Spanky a liar? I don't think so. Come on.
No, he wasn't.
wouldn't do that.
He wasn't wrong.
Exactly.
It's related to that. So we're going to talk about Juneteenth, but of course, we're not going to just talk about Juneteenth. We got to give a little
forest for the trees.
Background, history. All right. So to understand Juneteenth, you have to, you got to start before the Civil War, before the Republic of Texas, before even Texas had a revolution. You have to start with
Mexico controlled Texas.
Yes, Mexico was part of Texas, or Texas was part of Mexico.
Right.
You have to start with what kind of project Texas actually was from the beginning.
Okay.
I'm gonna read from Roxanne Dunbar here. She wrote a very popular book that I have not read. I listened to a little bit. I have it on Audible, but it's called an Indigenous People's History of the United States.
Okay.
But she says here in the book, everything in the U.S. history is about land. Who oversaw and cultivated it, fished the waters, maintained its wildlife, who invaded and stole it, how it became a commodity broken into pieces to be bought and sold on the market. U.S. policies and actions related to indigenous peoples, though often termed racist or discriminatory, are rarely depicted as what they are. Classic cases of imperialism and a particular form of colonialism, settler colonialism.
Yeah, and just to give a little equality to the white people, because I know our Republican listeners like that. That's what the white lady farmer was talking about. She's like, man, this land is very important to me. And like, it's very important for, poor people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that framing applies directly to Texas, which in early 1820s was part of Mexico, and with Anglo-American settlers arriving under the land grant programs pushed by people like Stephen F. Austin.
Boo.
Does that name sound familiar?
Yeah, that's where the mothership is now. That's why Joe Rogan went there.
So people don't know that Austin and Houston are named after settlers. Those are not just random names.
I didn't know Houston, but
yeah.
Are you going to tell me who that is coming up?
Yes.
All right, nice.
Let me continue here.
I'm trying.
So those settlers arrived with with enslaved people in tow, building a cotton economy on Mexican sovereign territory, and Horn documents that those enslaved people were chiefly owned, if not financed, by New Orleans cotton brokers. From the beginning, the three forces threatening this settler project were indigenous nations defending their land, black people who refused to remain enslaved in Mexico itself as an abolitionist state on the southern border. So I want to get into, a little bit about Mexico. And
So
what
the
was going
settler
on.
project, is it Spain settling it?
Settling what?
The settler project. Who's doing the settling?
The settlers are, these are people.
The Spanish settlers or the American settlers?
American people. Well, I don't know if Stephen Austin and Sam Houston were, if they left America to go settle the territory. That's my understanding.
They have pretty American names.
Yes, but no, we're not talking about the Spanish.
Okay.
And in 1829, Mexico's President Vicente Guerrero issued a decree abolishing slavery throughout the Mexican territory, which at the time included Texas. Guerrero is widely regarded as likely the first head of state of African descent in the Western Hemisphere. Fun fact.
Hell yeah.
And Gerald Horne makes the pointed observation that Mexico accomplished this about 2 centuries before the United States. Before we had a Barack Obama, there was a Vicente Guerrero.
Hey, so 200 years before we abolished slavery, Spain had already did that in Texas. Is that what you're saying?
No. They had a president of African descent.
Oh, okay. Well, what was the abolished slavery thing? Did you not mention that?
No, we haven't talked about that yet. I did briefly, but we're getting there.
So it was the 200 years was from him to Obama. Got it.
Yeah. Texas settlers received a temporary exemption, but the political signal was impossible to ignore. Their cotton economy depended on enslaved labor, and the government they lived under had just abolished it. Guerrero was overthrown and executed in 1831, with the slavery decree central to why Anglo settlers viewed Mexico City as an existential threat. I'm going to read this piece from Gerald Horne's book, The Counter-Revolution of 1836. The secession from Mexico anticipated and resembled the better-known model of 1861, with freedom to enslave Africans, with the freedom to enslave Africans being at the heart of the matter. Mexico, which as of abolition in 1829 was led by the leader Vicente Guerrero of African descent, a leadership feat not attained by a so-called revolutionary republic to the north until the 21st century. I want to actually play the first clip where Gerald Horne is talking about this history and this period. He's talking, just to kind of set up the clip. This is him. I think he actually mentions Sam Houston and Stephen Austin in the clip, but he talks about Texas leading up to its succession from Mexico.
Okay. Bet. Here we go.
And so I'm trying in this book to add flesh to that skeleton. And I'm also trying to make another theme, which is that in order to understand counter-revolution, you have to understand class collaboration. And this is a theme I stress heavily in this Texas book. That is to say that in 1836, the settlers, led by Stephen F. Austin and Sam Houston and the other freebooters and slaveholders who revolted against rule from Mexico, not least because Mexico was moving towards abolishing slavery under a president of African descent, speaking of Vicente Guerrero, 200 years before the election of Barack Obama, by the way, that these men who then revolted against abolitionism and then affixed their names to continuing U.S. cities such as Houston, Texas, Austin, Texas, etc., were driven by an anti-abolitionist impulse. But it was not only that. I think that it's no accident that just in the United States, even though Governor DeSantis of Florida suggested, consistent with certain U.S. historians, that it was 1776 that gave an impetus to abolition of slavery, which is very strange because in 1776, there were thousands of enslaved Africans in the United States. By 1861, when you had the U.S. Civil War, there were millions. So these are some very peculiar and strange and unique abolitionists who preside over an exponential increase in the number of enslaved people, although they're supposed to be abolitionists. And you can say something similar about Texas. That is to say that Texas today has the largest Black population in the United States of America. This is no accident. It's a direct outgrowth of the revolt against Mexican rule. And there is another point that I make in this book that is worthy of contemplation. And that is that even though it has stiff competition, it would not be an exaggeration to suggest that the genocidal impulse with regard to the indigenous population of North America reaches a zenith, reaches an apex in the state of Texas. Now, I know that there are competitors for that gruesome and ghastly title of being the chief genocidaires, but I think Texas can make a fair case. And it's in part because the indigenous population of Texas, speaking of the Comanches in the first instance, were some of the most fearsome warriors. And in turn, that helped to generate a fearsome, bloodthirsty response. And so what happens is that in order to attract settlers to this part of North America, the leaders of this secessionist enterprise basically dangle before the potential settlers the prospect of getting cheap land, of course, ripped off from the indigenous population, and then have that land worked by enslaved Africans. Keep in mind that Texas was an independent country between 1836 and 1845. During that time, the Lone Star flag of the state of Texas could be found off the coast of Brazil, could be found off the coast of Angola, could be found off the coast of Cuba. In other words, independent Texas was a major slave-owning enterprise.
Okay, so Gerald Horne is always dropping knowledge. Let me just run this by you real quick to make sure I understand. Mexico gets colonized by Spain, right?
Yeah.
Check one. Okay. Part of that is Spain/Mexico colonizing, controlling Texas, what we now consider Texas. It's under Mexican control.
Right.
Mexico has a president of African descent 200 years before Obama.
Mm-hmm.
He abolishes slavery in Mexico in 1829.
Right.
The U.S. didn't do that until 1863. So in the meantime, some American settlers like Austin, Houston, other white slaveholders,
right,
they wanted to revolt against the Mexican rule, promoted secessionism, and they dangled free land to white people to come settle there. Free land where slavery will be legal if you fight for the secession, and we went. Is that what's going on right now?
Yes. Okay, well, I think Mexico actually. So Mexico wanted settlers to come to settle the land.
Okay.
And I should say, Mexico got its independence in the early 1800s. I can't remember the date exactly. Okay. So Mexico was no longer a Spanish
under Spanish control.
Yeah, it had gained its independence. That's why Vicente Guerrero was like their second president after independence.
Okay. John Adams over here. Okay.
Right. So Mexico was its own country at this point, but yes, Stephen Austin and Sam Houston, who I just looked up, they were originally from Virginia.
So Mexico didn't necessarily not want white settlers to come, but they wanted them to come and be part of Mexico, Texas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They wanted them to, I guess, like sort of settle the land and develop it, and what have you. But this was early. This was early on. This is before Vicente Guerrero comes in, of course, and says like, "All right, we got to do away with the slavery stuff." And they're like, "Well, it's kind of like our business here.
Kind of important. There's a lot of
Right.
cotton. I don't know if you know about cotton. It's kind of difficult to pick.
Right.
Kind of make people do it.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that of course creates some tension there. Another thing I did want to mention is enslaved people and free black people were already fleeing south across the border throughout the 1830s.
And they were fleeing to Texas.
Yeah.
Got it.
Some of them were. Some joining the Mexican military forces directly, and fleeing from Texas, I should say, or from Mexico in particular, because Mexico or Texas, which was still part of Mexico, obviously had slavery, but since he had abolished it, they were like going to the free part of the state,
Right,
essentially.
okay. Like it being abolished in the North in America before it was abolished in the South.
Right,
or something.
right,
Yeah,
right.
Got it.
But also, my understanding is people from other parts of the country were going through Texas as well, because Texas is a big state, obviously.
Yeah, it's fucking huge.
So yeah, some of them were joining the Mexican military forces directly in armed conflict with the Texas settlers. Mexico consistently refused to return runaways, which slaveholders experienced as direct financial loss. Horn even documents Sam Houston personally complaining in 1841 that his 2 valuable Negro boys ran away last spring to Mexico, writing, "Thus you can see I'm in bad luck."
Those 2 Negro boys were valuable. And if we lived in any civilized society, somebody else would track them down for me.
Right.
That's fucking crazy. Isn't that how the police were invented? Isn't like the history of the police come from slave patrols that went
absolutely.
to catch runaway slaves?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Mexico was like, go fuck yourself. We're not sending them back. And then, so, one way to get around that is secede.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Were you going to...
No, you're doing good.
You're not going to do any of it?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm trying to understand what's going on.
Well, I didn't know I was doing the whole episode.
All right, you do through to the next clip, and then I'll do it after that.
All right. So
he wasn't offsides. Mexico just scored, by the way, on Ecuador, and
I missed that.
I thought he was offsides, but it was a fucking nice shot.
All right,
we're talking about Mexico. Go Mexico! They just scored. Goal, baby. There you go.
Yes. All right. So we're gonna talk about the Republic of Texas. So most of this part is gonna be about Texas being its own thing. So the Texas Revolution of 1836 gets taught as liberty versus tyranny. The documents say otherwise. A settler class that entered Mexican territory under Mexican law revolted against the government that tried to enforce those laws. The Texas Republic's 1836 Constitution made the agenda explicit. It legalized slavery, made manumission nearly impossible. I'm not familiar with that term.
What the fuck is that word?
Look that up.
Say it again.
Manumission.
All right.
You need to be following along here.
Nope. Keep going.
And also, Horn notes that founding a document used the words slave or slavery no fewer than 11 times. The 9 years between 1836 and annexation in 1845 are almost always skipped, but they matter because of what kind of independent nation Texas actually was.
Manumission is the act of freeing slaves by their owners. It's manumission or enfranchisement. I thought disenfranchisement was just the only word. I've never even heard of enfranchisement. Anyways, that's manumission. There you go.
TIO.
So, as a recap, we're not sure what Texas where they stood.
No. Hold on. Before we do any recaps, I want you to play another clip for me.
Clip 2?
Yeah.
And this is also Gerald Horn. Here we go.
Well, having a professional baseball team carry the name of the Texas Rangers, they might as well be called the Texas genocidaires, the Texas genocide perpetrators. That would be similarly appropriate and similarly gruesome in terms of a baseball team. So basically, the Texas Rangers, you could say, for those of you who are familiar with Central America in the 1980s, they're the equivalent of death squads, basically. They are the mailed fist of settler colonialism, the vanguard of settler colonialism, whose primary mission is to liquidate, or to use the term used then, exterminate the Native American population.
Oof.
Yeah.
Be like if a team was called the Pensacola Brown Shirts.
Exactly. That's awful.
Terrible.
That'd be an awful name.
I hate it.
All right. So, so I think it's just important that a lot of people don't realize from like 1836 roughly through 1845, Texas was its own country, essentially. And it
wasn't part of the Union.
No, it was not part of the Union. And they were active in the slave trade as a independent country. Meanwhile, the Underground Railroad, that most Americans know, ran north, but for people enslaved in Texas, the path to freedom ran south into Mexico. Arnoldo de Leon, he wrote a book called Tejano Community that Joe Horn had a reference, so I looked it up, and I thought this part was good. But he says here, Mexicanos took the audacious step of sabotaging chattel racial slavery by rescuing Negroes from bondage and transporting them to freedom over the sparsely settled semi-desert frontier between central Texas and the Rio Grande. Although whites in the Travis, Bexar, and Goliad County areas by 1854 took strong measures to curtail the activity, Mexican-American resistance to slavery persisted until the eve of the Civil War. That is Mexico, or that is, Texas rather, really. By 1842, a full maroon colony had formed across the border in Coahuila, Mexico. That's a horrible pronunciation.
Nailed it.
Black people who had escaped Texas, multilingual, speaking English, Creek, Seminole, and Spanish. This piece never makes it into the textbooks. In Texas, freedom pointed south into Mexico because Mexico had already abolished slavery. So a lot of times, why I thought it was important to mention this is like, you'll hear I remember watching a Charlie Kirk debate years ago.
Hell yeah, that's my king.
Where he was I think he was debating Breonna Joy Gray, who was Bernie's former press secretary. But I remember him saying in the interview oh well, all these other countries had slavery too, and America's one of the first ones to abolish slavery.
Hell
so
yeah.
A lot of these people try to have this revisionist history that America was some progressive force, that yes, slavery was bad, but we at least we did away with it first, or we were on the cutting edge of getting rid of it.
Gerald Horn mentioned it when he was talking about whoever it was that was referencing 1776, as if that was it was the spirit of 1776 independence that led us to abolish slavery, when slavery was very much but it's this weird revisionist history to try to make it seem like America, we were we did it, but we were one of the first ones, if not the first ones, to say it was bad. So come on, white guilt is crazy.
Exactly.
But I want to reference one thing real quick. Remember the Alamo. So all right, so Spain colonized Mexico. Mexico has controlled Texas. Texas fights for independence. Part of that independence is the Battle of the Alamo, where I think Davy Crockett died. This is part of the legend. But a bunch of American white settlers went up against General Santa Anna of Mexico, and General Santa Anna killed them all. And that's why people were like, remember the Alamo, because I guess the people that got murdered said, remember us, because we're about to get murdered. And then turns out Santa Anna was operating under some kind of law. I should have looked it up. But anyways, some kind of anti-piracy law where you don't have to treat pirates as prisoners of war, so you just murder pirates. Because pirates were kind of used as like a weapon of war back in that era. And he was like, hey, you fucking Texan rebels are land pirates who have taken up arms against Mexico. And he also, I guess, dealt with rebels in Zacatecas the same way. So that's why he killed everybody. And remember the Alamo, maybe you shouldn't be a land pirate. So the more you know.
Huh. Interesting.
That's it. And then I guess, they eventually won their independence. That's where we're at now.
Right. All right. Let's see. Moving on. We're going to talk about annexation, the Mexican-American War.
Oh,
Fun
fuck,
times.
Mexico just scored again. Let's go.
Texas was annexed into the United States in 1845 under legally questionable procedures, and Mexico, which had never recognized Texas independence, considered it an act of war. President James K. Polk manufactured the conflict, deliberately sending U.S. troops into disputed border territory to create a pretext for war he had already decided to fight. Dunbar Ortiz frames what Polk was actually doing here in her book that we mentioned earlier in the Indigenous Peoples' History. This is her. The ideology of manifest destiny normalizes the successive invasions and occupations of indigenous nations in Mexico as not being colonialist or imperialist, rather simply ordained progress. In this view, Mexico was just another Indian nation to be crushed. The U.S. invasion of Mexico has also been characterized as as the first U.S. foreign war, but it was not. By 1846, the United States had invaded, occupied, and ethically cleansed dozens of foreign nations east of the Mississippi. The opposition to this war is worth naming. Abraham Lincoln introduced the spot resolutions, demanding Polk identify the exact spot where American blood had supposedly been shed. Henry David Thoreau,
give me the receipts.
Right, refused to pay taxes in protest. John Quincy Adams called it out directly. So, just to be clear, like, this war didn't have like unified support by the elites or the ruling class or the Congress or whatever. There was, Abraham Lincoln was like, yo, I need you to show me where these conflict happened. Make sure it's not in this disputed territory. So yeah, but anyway, the war.
Lincoln once again being a good guy.
The war ended in 1848. The U.S. took roughly half of Mexico's territory: California, Nevada, Utah, most of Arizona, and New Mexico, parts of Colorado and Wyoming. Dunbar Ortiz names what that conquest actually produced. A debate that turned deadly ensued over whether the acquired territory would allow slavery, and it brought on a civil war that produced millions of casualties. So that's a bit foreboding. Do you have the other clip from Gillis? Because he tells his history in a funny way, and I thought it'd be funny to have this.
Got it queued up. Here we go.
Turns out Polk's the man.
Really?
Yeah.
I know nothing about Polk.
No. He was one term because he was a dark horse out of nowhere, and he promised everybody in his party, I'll only do one term. That way, some of you guys that are good, that are getting ready, you can take over. Immediately, he starts with the British about Oregon. So they have the Oregon territory out there, which is just beaver hunting. Everybody's, beaver hunting. We're doing a little bit of that in Nash Vegas. The British and Americans were both hunting on the same territory. And Polk was like, nah, we're done with that. And he set a the latitude and longitude was 54 and 40. So he came out with the slogan 54 and 40 or fight. He was saying that to the British. He was like, we're going to f you guys up.
True.
So he called that, and the British were afraid to call his bluff. They were just like, fine, take it.
That slogan is so good.
Yeah, so he takes that territory, which is huge. And then it's not just Oregon, it's Washington, all that.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, it's time for me to get Texas. He starts with the Mexicans. Like, so they would send troops down just to see if the Mexicans would shoot first. Finally, they did. So they go to war. 70,000 troops poured in.
Oh, no.
So we immediately took California, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Texas. When Polk was instigating this war with Mexico, so Polk was up there like, they're with us. They shot at our troops. An old one-term senator from Illinois at the time stood up and said, were we on their territory when we shot them? There was one guy that was opposed to the Mexican-American War, a guy by the name of Abraham Lincoln.
Really? Abraham Lincoln,
People were like, hey, shut up. See?
Yeah, dude.
We're trying to take Texas. Shut
Yeah.
the
He's
f-
like,
up.
you guys, were we like, shh.
Anyway, that's why Polk's kind of the man. He added 1/3 of the entire United States in a 4-year term.
Damn. Pretty good.
That was a smashing. America destroyed Mexico. It was mean. It was mean.
Yeah, so
Then this is good. Polk, he was working his tail off.
His tail.
He was tired. He was so exhausted when he got done. He went back to Tennessee and just died.
Like right away, right?
Yeah.
He died, yeah.
He was like, that was too much. I
That
should
was
have done
a
all
lot
that.
of work. Yep.
Man, I love that he's a history buff, but and I know he probably don't mean it, but he's like, oh, James Polk's man, right? He fucking added like 1/3 of this country.
Right.
While also at the same time being like, James Cole's a piece of shit, right? Or James Polk was a piece of shit. Like,
Right.
he was down there instigating the whole fucking thing.
Right.
Yeah. But, I don't know. That's what we gotta try to get Colin on. Or fucking Spanky. He likes history.
Yeah.
But, hey, man. This shit's interesting.
Yeah, we'd have to do drunk history with Spanky.
Yeah, true, definitely. I missed that. But yeah, no, that was a great way to explain it. And yeah, fucking Oregon.
Yeah, just to be clear, James Polk was not the man.
No. He was a
master
colonizer piece of shit.
You know, Shane Gillis.
But he did tell the Brits to fuck off, and that's kind of funny. I don't like that.
That is funny.
Brits can always fuck
What
off.
was this the saying that they had?
51 and 40 or fight or something. Like
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was.
Come catch these hands.
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't. I don't know. I might be just making this up or misremembering it, but wasn't the Boston Massacre? Wasn't that like a similar situation? Didn't we like provoke these guys knowing like they're gonna shoot us, and when they do, oh boy, this is gonna be what we need.
I'm not sure. I'm not that familiar
right.
with that
Well,
history.
Tune in next time to the Forest Pod and find out.
Man. All right.
Do you want me to pick up?
Yeah. How deep are we?
I don't know. What part do you want?
I mean, like, in the,
time wise, 53 minutes.
Pause. Should have said
Pause.
pause.
Damn,
That's crazy.
missed it. Shit. Cam will be fucking disowning me. But yeah.
Where we at?
53 minutes.
All right. You want to take a quick break?
That's what I was gonna do.
All right.
Yeah, all right, that's that.
All right.
Okay, that was a quick break. We're back from the break.
Yeah. So before we continue,
okay,
I did want to add a little bit because look, I put this together pretty hastily, and I apologize because I'm not really doing my ancestors.
Hey, don't
justice
tell them
here.
that. Don't give them the peek behind the curtain.
Forgive me.
Fuck all that.
I'm gonna do better next Juneteenth and try to put it out on time.
That's
but
right.
Excuse me.
Cheers.
I wanted to kind of give a little bit of more context here because you brought up the Alamo. I was like, and I thought, dang, I should have mentioned the Alamo.
Oh, bro,
that's a big part.
You did.
Well, that's what people.
You didn't remember the Alamo.
I did not remember.
God damn it. That's the one thing. Two things.
That's
9/11. 9/11 you never forget. And then you remember the Alamo. He fucked up. God damn it. We'll do better next year.
That's funny. I did not remember the Alamo.
Nice.
Guess they haven't gotten all their propaganda in me.
Hey.
All right, but
I'm already on Santa Ana's propaganda bars.
But yeah, before we move on, I wanted to talk about the Alamo because it sits like right in the middle of the story. Almost everything you were taught about it is backwards. The Battle of the Alamo happened in March of 1836, right at the start of the revolt. This was the revolt of the settlers against Mexico. Santa Anna marched north to put down the rebellion. A group of 180 to 200 Texan rebels fortified themselves inside an old Spanish mission in San Antonio, and after a 13-day siege, Santa Anna's forces overran it and killed everyone inside. Remember the Alamo, quote, becomes the rallying cry at the San Jacinto 6 weeks later. The battle where they capture Santa Anna and force him to sign those treaties, these treaties to give up the land. But look at who.
So they were telling him to remember the Alamo?
I guess.
Okay.
But look at who the heroes of the Alamo actually were. Jim Bowie was a slave trader.
Bowie. Davy Crockett, right?
Yeah, he was not a frontiersman in the romantic sense, a man who made significant money trafficking enslaved people, including working with pirate Jean Lafitte to smuggle Africans into Louisiana after the international slave trade.
That's the wokest shit I've ever heard. You're so woke, bro.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I'm saying like the whitewash version. This is the frontiersman. He's a badass shit. You trying to introduce the reality in the situation, you know?
Oh, yeah.
That's a woke DEI shit.
For sure.
DeSantis doesn't approve.
So Jean Lafitte he smuggled Africans into Louisiana after the international slave trade had already been banned in 1808. Davy Crockett had just lost his congressional seat in Tennessee and showed up in Texas looking for cheap land. The exact same cheap seized land the secessionist project was dangling in front of settlers. William Travis, who commanded the defense, had fled Alabama to escape debt and brought an enslaved man named Joe with him. And Joe was actually one of the only survivors of the battle because Santa Anna's forces distinguished between the armed rebels and the enslaved people among them and didn't kill him.
He's a real one.
Let's see. Mexico's army wasn't indiscriminately killing everyone inside. They were targeting the rebels specifically. The enslaved people there were not considered their enemies because Mexico had abolished slavery 7 years earlier and had no quarrel with them. So the Alamo is not a story about freedom versus tyranny. It's a story about slaveholders and slave traders dying to defend a revolt whose central purpose was to preserve slavery against a government that had abolished it and then getting immortalized as American heroes.
That's a long way to say states' rights. It was all about states' rights.
So really, fuck the Alamo.
Yeah, fuck the Alamo.
And forget that
again,
shit. or know about it, but know the bullshit history.
Remember it's bullshit.
Right.
Abridged version, Mexico abolishes slavery in 1829, and then a bunch of white people say, no, how about we have a revolution to keep the slaves? And then Mexico says, how about not?
Right.
Fuck the Alamo.
Yeah.
Period. Fuck Davy Crockett.
Put that on the shirt.
Fuck your little Bowie knife. I mean, it's a good knife.
Oh, is that what his name is? It's named after him, huh?
Yeah, man.
Damn.
Motherfucker had a good knife.
That was named after David Bowie.
Damn, now you got jokes. You've been reading the joke book. Okay. That's very good.
That's a better Bowie. I'm just saying.
That's very good. It's definitely a better Bowie. Motherfucker, he was funky as hell. I love fucking David Bowie. All right, how you got more? Or
no, that was it.
Okay. That's your Alamo update.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna continue with the slow fuse to Civil War. This is in 1848 to 1861, this time period. So Mexican, what the fuck? Why is it Mexican Session with the C? Anyways, the Mexican Session immediately reopened the question. That must be secession, no?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll rock with it
though. Congress thought that it had settled in 1820 with the Missouri Compromise. And that was like the slave compromise, right? Whenever they were trying to like tamp out the Civil War before it started. That's what the Missouri Compromise was?
No, Not sure.
Sounds right.
Keep reading.
Compromise of 1850 admitted California as a free state, but imposed a much harsher Fugitive Slave Act, forcing ordinary Northerners to personally participate in capturing escaped people, which radicalized the North. So this is, again, this pre-Civil War era, like these states were fighting to figure out which of these states were going to be slave states. Bleeding Kansas, that was all part of that. Speaking of which, the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 repealed the Missouri Compromise line, introduced popular sovereignty, and produced Bleeding Kansas, pro-slavery and anti-slavery settlers fighting each other on the ground. A preview of the war is still 7 years away. So yeah.
And just to be clear, the Missouri Compromise, passed in 1820, was a pivotal U.S. federal law that maintained the balance of power between slave and free states in Congress. It admitted Missouri as a slave state and Maine as a free state, which prohibited slavery in the remaining Louisiana Purchase territories north of latitude 36 degrees and 30. I don't know if I said that right, but yeah. So that's
the Missouri Compromise was like, look, we're going to keep this American thing together. We're going to let some people be slave states. Some states are going to ban that shit, and that's the compromise. Bleeding Kansas essentially was like, well, we can't agree within the state what it's going to be, so people just fought it out in Kansas. The 1857 Dred Scott decision gutted what remained of the compromise framework. Black people cannot be citizens. Congress cannot restrict slavery in the territories. So Dred Scott decision was essentially a fuck your states' rights. Slavery. Just don't remember later on when I'm going to say states' rights, but fuck your states' rights. Lincoln wins in 1860 without appearing on most Southern state ballots. I didn't know that. I've never seen that movie Lincoln. Have you seen that shit? The Steven Spielberg one?
No.
I feel like I need to see that. Lincoln wins in 1860 without appearing on most Southern state ballots. He opposed slavery's expansion. Not its existence were already established, but that was enough. South Carolina secedes within weeks. So I guess he wasn't popular in the South, even though he was like, look, I'll let you keep your slaves. I'm just saying we shouldn't have more slave states. And like typical slave owners, they said, fuck you. Before moving to the war itself, Eric Williams in Capitalism and Slavery, published in 1944, still one of the most important books ever written on this period, gives an essential framing for why the economic stakes were so high. And here's a little excerpt from that book. Slavery was not born of racism. Rather, racism was the consequence of slavery. Unfree labor in the New World was brown, white, black, and yellow, Catholic, Protestant, and pagan. And here then is the origin of Negro slavery. The reason was economic, not racial. Had to do not with the color of the laborer, but the cheapness of the laborer. So that's a very, I don't even want to say interesting. I don't know what, God, oh, that's a replay of Mexico scoring. Yeah, because, you know, you always hear about indentured servitude, Irish people being treated like shit, other fucking, you know, wage slavery.
Right.
And the Negro specific racism came out of, they were the cheapest slaves, I guess, to get because of the Atlantic slave trade. So it's not like racism led to like a super Atlantic slave trade. It's like the Atlantic slave trade led to the racism.
Right.
It's wild. That argument matters because what the South was fighting to preserve wasn't just a way of life. It's a specific economic system their entire class structure depended on. And they knew it, which was, you know, we need fucking free labor. And we need to say that's my property and I need you to bring it back when it runs away. It's crazy.
No doubt.
The Civil War and Black self-liberation. So this is the period from 1861 to 1865. The most important framing for the Civil War that almost never makes it into mainstream tellings is self-emancipation. It wasn't just white people from the North that freed the slaves. Enslaved people began fleeing plantations and crossing Union lines from the very beginning in massive numbers, long before any official policy acknowledged what they were doing. These weren't people waiting to be freed. They were people making strategic decisions to liberate themselves. And in doing so, they forced the military and political situation to catch up to them. That's a little tactic that the Democrats will never learn because they don't want to change anything. The Emancipation Proclamation, signed January 1st, 1863, was a war measure rather than a moral declaration. It weakened the Confederate economy, blocked Britain and France from recognizing the Confederacy, and authorized black men to formally enlist. Roughly 200,000 black soldiers served. So I know Lincoln, again, this is the whitewashing of history. He wasn't as bad as fucking, I almost said David Bowie, Jim Bowie. But the Emancipation Proclamation wasn't like, yo, we got to free these black people. It was like, hey, this is a great way to fuck over my enemy, destroy their economy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Harriet Tubman, she deserves to be named precisely. Here in June 1863, she served as a military intelligence operative, guiding Union gunboats through Confederate mined waters on the Combahee River in South Carolina, resulting in the liberation of more than 700 enslaved people in a single night, which essentially makes her a military commander. A lot of people look at Harriet Tubman, Underground Railroad, or they think about her as like just sneaking people underground. She's like, nah, bro. She was in the streets. She was in the rivers, being like, "There's the mines. Don't hit that one." Yeah,
no doubt. She led just a little bit more on that. She led like one of the most successful raids to free enslaved people along the Combahee River. I think there was like 600 or 700 people that she freed.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right there in the notes. Okay,
yeah.
I forgot. But yeah,
it's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people, man. That's on top of all the people she was already freeing before that. So
yeah, and it also just makes her, she's a little more revolutionary than like, again, it's like portrayed as she was like sneaking around and setting up this network. Right. Bro, she was on the front lines.
She was shooting people.
Shut the fuck up. You're free now. Let's go. The Emancipation Proclamation had a critical limit worth stating clearly. It only applied to Confederate territory with no enforcement mechanism there. Declaration on paper, not a fact on the ground, which again is pretty wild. It is a proclamation. It was kind of just him saying, hey, this is the deal. Don't have a way to enforce it over there, but it does only apply to Confederates, which is interesting. Lee surrendered at Appomattox. That's General Robert E. Lee, piece of shit. April 9th, 1865, the Confederacy surrendered in stages. Johnston in North Carolina, April 26th. Alabama, Mississippi, May 4th. Kirby Smith's Trans-Mississippi Department. Oh, they had a Trans-Mississippi Department? Oh, boy. Wow. Oh, boy. Wait till the Republicans hear about this. All of Texas, June 2nd. So, yeah, I guess it just wasn't a war is over on one day type deal, which is kind of interesting because a lot of people, it's like that Japanese soldier after World War II was just stuck on the island and fought for like 20 more years because he thought the war was still going on.
Oh, I don't remember that story.
I mean, he didn't really fight. He kind of just like hid out waiting for his people to come back. But like,
damn, that sucks.
The Japanese would fly over and be like, hey, the war is over. You can come out. And he was like, oh, that's the ops. That's the enemy trying to trick me. Yeah. So anyways, you could be in America or in, I guess, one of the newly freed states and not even know it. Juneteenth, though. This is why we're here. And before I go into a little explanation about it, I'm going to bring back our big dog, Shane Gillis.
That's what Juneteenth is. Juneteenth. They
I keep hearing about it.
It was after the Emancipation Proclamation. Somebody finally got to a place in Texas and was like, you guys are free, right?
They didn't know?
What? Yeah,
Whoa.
dude. I've been working for the last 7 months.
Well, they didn't have phones.
Yeah. They didn't have telegrams. That slave owner was definitely like,
oh, yeah, dude, for sure.
Not going to let this news get out.
So anyways, yeah, that's kind of funny. Emancipation Proclamation, Juneteenth. So this is what this whole episode is about. And it's not the ending that you were taught. On June 19th, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas with his troops, issued General Order Number 3, announcing that all enslaved people in Texas were free. It's the Texas Proclamation, I guess. That's the date and Act Juneteenth commemorates. So it's specifically for the date. This Union General said everybody in Texas is free. That's what Juneteenth is about.
Boom.
Why? Because, I guess it took a minute for some people to tell them. I don't know. It's interesting. Why do you think, why is Juneteenth, why did that become a national thing? Because it seems like it's very local to Texas.
Well, that marked the literal end of, slavery.
Because the other one was kind of just like a proclamation with no enforcement. And this was like, this is the
I mean,
enforcement.
the Emancipation Proclamation was issued during the war. So the war is still going on.
Okay, I got you. So this was like, hey, the war's over. You're free.
So I mean, after
they
had, it was like decisively they lost the war in early 1965. It took a while for them to, make sure the troops got to the places where they needed to go to actually make sure that it was being enforced. So they had lost the war earlier that year, but June 19th was whenever the last Union troops made it to Galveston, Texas, and said, "Yo, y'all lost, bro. Give it up."
And you mash June and 19th together. Bada bing, bada boom. We got a Juneteenth. Back to Gerald Horne. His chapter on Juneteenth from his book, was that from the Counter-Revolution?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Counter-Revolution of 1836. This is a little clip we're going to play of him explaining why Juneteenth is titled with a question mark. All right, here we go.
But in some ways, there is a kind of fairy tale behind Juneteenth. I mean, the traditional story is that June 19th, 1865, the Union soldiers, the Lincoln government soldiers, or the U.S. government soldiers, I should say, show up in Galveston, Texas to tell the enslaved that they're free. Now, that's a bit of poppycock because we know that many of the Africans, they knew about the Emancipation Proclamation of Lincoln, January 1st, 1863. But the Lincoln government did not necessarily have a jurisdiction in rebellious Texas. It would be as if Congress passed a law abolishing what amounts to enslavement in Mauritania. Well, Congress has no jurisdiction in Mauritania, Northwest Africa, and Congress did not necessarily have jurisdiction in Texas. And so what happens is that when these soldiers are arriving, what they're really trying to do is to forestall what then unfolded. We referred to France. We can now add the point that in 1862, France, in its hunger for colonies, had gobbled up Mexico. They were ruling Mexico. And the plan was for the Texas settlers to continue the revolt against Washington in alliance with France. And in fact, rolling back the abolitionist decree in Texas, in Mexico, decades earlier, and moving with their enslaved property to Mexico. That was thwarted by an alliance, as your point suggests, between many Black American soldiers and the progressive forces under Benito Juarez, the national hero of Mexico, who then execute a pincer's maneuver against the French occupiers and their puppets, which leads to the second Juneteenth, June 19th, 1867, when the Mexican puppet ruler, Maximilian, is captured and executed, which I argue brings the abolition of slavery ever closer, much closer than June 19th, 1865, because we know that even today, there's all manner of human trafficking that amounts to slavery with regard to children, women, forced labor of various sorts. And that was continuing to a certain degree in Texas and in the South, post June 19th, 1865, post June 19th, 1867, in fact.
So, what a twist.
A little bit of a twist there, huh?
Who knew Juneteenth had a twin? And it's actually the second Juneteenth.
Right.
It's actually more representative. Yeah, the first Juneteenth is like, hey, again, it's like some white savior shit. Hey, we're here to save you. Here you go. You're free now.
Right.
We're enforcing it. Second Juneteenth is, fuck these French. Let's get them out of here.
Right.
So I'm rocking with that Juneteenth. So, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Again, these motherfucking... I don't know. I don't know when Juneteenth... Actually, is it in the research? Do you know when it became, like, popular? Was it based off of trying to whitewash?
No, it's always been a thing.
Or has it always been based off of the second Juneteenth?
No, well, it definitely celebrates the first Juneteenth.
Okay.
That's the one that's broadly acknowledged and recognized and that people mainly know about. But, you know, Gerald Horn is a historian. He has to get in his bag. You know?
By the way,
yeah,
there's a better Juneteenth.
Right,
I'll
right.
tell you about that.
Right.
Gotcha. All right. And let's see here. So, what Horn's describing here is documented in the historical record. This is one of the testimonials he pulls in his book, The Counter-Revolution of 1836. The African known as Lou Lee was once enslaved in Texas. Subsequently, he recalled that Master Wash Ingram had 350 slaves when the war was over, but he didn't turn us loose till a year after surrender. So again, yeah, just going to his point that, like, even though the war was over, a lot of these Confederate slave owners are like, fuck that, I'm gonna hold out.
Right.
as long as possible. And that was not unusual. Union officer reports from late 1865 found black people in parts of Texas without troop presence still being restrained from their freedom, with slavery virtually existing the same as though the old system of oppression was still in force. And that was 1865, so 2 years after.
No, that was the same year, just later in the year.
What do you mean?
I mean, that was the same year that Juneteenth happened.
Oh, the second one?
No, the first one. 1865 was the first Juneteenth.
Oh, you're right. I was saying 63 because that was the, like, Emancipation.
Right.
Okay. And then Horn also documents armed gangs holding people in bondage by force as late as 1866, so even next year. One enslaver kept a woman literally chained to her loom. What's a loom? I know there's a fruit of them.
That's a old time term.
You get a fruit of them somehow. Horn documents slavery persisting in parts of Texas as late as 1868. Shit, let's go a couple more years. With workers compelled to sign contracts under threat of being killed if they refused. Because, I mean, let's be real. If you're a slave and someone's like, hey, you're free now, and then your master's like, no, you're not, who you gonna believe? It's gonna be pretty scary. Another little excerpt from Gerald Horn's The Counter-Revolution of 1836. Quote, just as Appomattox did not instantaneously cause hostilities to cease, but only marked a new stage in the struggle, the same can be said for Juneteenth, especially because, as is well known, the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 did not necessarily free the enslaved in loyal states and did not necessarily reach those in disloyal states. End of quote. The gap between the law and reality is the actual lesson of Juneteenth. That gap is a through line to every generation since. So if you're going to take the lesson or what Juneteenth should represent or ideally represents, it's that just because the law says something, hey, remember, doesn't mean it's real.
Right. Yeah, there was like a few states, like I think New Jersey was one of them. That
one of the later northern states that
continued to have slaves after the Emancipation Proclamation, and I think even after Juneteenth for a while. There were some weird caveats that some of the states that had slavery but weren't aligned with the Confederate states, because the Emancipation Proclamation technically only applied to
the Confederate states.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
You want to pick up here? Are you following along? Go ahead.
All right, so actually I was following along, but I scrolled down to read something else.
It's about the other Juneteenth, Maximilian.
Yeah, Maximilian, the other Juneteenth. What segment was that? Segment 8?
Yeah. Number 8, yeah.
Yeah, clip 3 already laid out Maximilian's argument in Horn's own words: the French occupation of Mexico, the Confederate exile plan, the Juarez alliance, and June 19th, 1867 as the second Juneteenth. Just to underline the documentary evidence, on the very same day, Granger issued the Galveston Order. This was June 19th, 1865. Grant was writing urgently to President Johnson about Maximilian. This is another quote from Joe Horn's book. General Grant told recently installed President Andrew Johnson that if Maximilian continued in power, I see nothing before us but a long, expensive, and bloody war, one in which the enemies of this country will be joined by tens of thousands of disciplined soldiers embittered against their government. French soldiers have fired on our men from the south side of the river in aid of the rebellion.
So Maximilian, the guy that was taking over Mexico at the time, we were like, we don't like this.
Yeah. And Granger himself that same day was filing a report from Galveston about Confederate property being smuggled into Mexico in service of what he called the imperialist. Wow.
Interesting.
So 2 liberation dates, same calendar day, 2 years apart, one in Texas, one in Mexico, both closing the same door on the same project.
It's pretty fucking cool, though.
Yeah.
They were on the same day.
Yeah, right? What are the chances of that, huh?
What
history, man.
Crazy world. So Reconstruction, Texas. Excuse me. From 1865 to 1876. Black soldiers who helped defeat the Confederacy were then deployed during Reconstruction against indigenous nations being pushed off their land in West Texas, while black communities in East Texas were being targeted by Klan violence simultaneously. So black people in East Texas were being targeted by the Klan. Black people in West Texas were being deployed to kick the Native Americans out. Cool.
Bam.
Or the indigenous Mexicans, if you count Texas as Mexico. Cool. Horn names the contradiction directly. The same soldiers who fought for their own freedom were turned into instruments of the settler colonial machine that had oppressed them, just pointed in a different direction. Exactly. Buffalo soldiers, like Bob Marley. Buffalo soldiers in the West fighting Comanche, Kiowa, and Apache nations, while black families in the East were being terrorized by the Klan. That's built into the structure of what Reconstruction was and failed to be. It's part of why the Reconstruction failed. Exactly right there. And now let's go into some present day parallels.
Yeah.
So we got the revocation of the TPS, temporary protected status for Haitian immigrants, Biden era deportation flights, the images of Border Patrol agents on horseback confronting Haitian migrants at Del Rio, Texas, all on the exact same geography this episode has been tracing. Tejas, same border, same logic, different century. So we will talk about these safe borders and shit. Come on, guys. We know what we're talking about. Horn draws the line to be the present in the book. Horn draws the line to be the present in the book explicitly. Texas being prominently represented in the January 6, 2021 insurrection traces directly to the settler colonial political tradition that founded the state. Those same, remember the Alamo motherfuckers. They were definitely part of January 6th.
Right.
But there's something Horn says in the interview about what's at stake when this history gets suppressed that's worth hearing directly. So let's go ahead and hear that now.
Well, I would say that class struggle and internationalism are kryptonite to fascism. It's what causes and can cause fascism to retreat. And we have a bit of that in the United States of America, but I think it's intermittent. I mean, for example, in light of all the police killings of black people in particular, which is a direct legacy of enslavement, settler colonialism, U.S. apartheid, etc. You've seen certain activists take our plight to the United Nations Human Rights Commission in Geneva, Switzerland. You've had international bodies of lawyers, such as the International Commission of Jurists, that have done human rights investigations of the plight of black people in the United States. You've had meetings. Now, this is when I turned the coin over, between CARICOM, the Caribbean Community, and the African Union, which are developing very close relations. Black Americans would seem to be a logical complement to that kind of alliance, since the Black American population is about 45 million, which is larger than the population of Canada, larger than the population of numerous African countries, including, just off the top of my head, Lesotho, Ghana, Togo. I could go on. And yet these Black American organizations are mostly missing in action with regard to that pressing matter. And I think that this internationalism is important because, to the extent that you would see these potential victims of fascism aligning internationally, that would move them to the left, and it would make them more skeptical of U.S. foreign policy, make them more skeptical of U.S. imperialism, make them more skeptical of U.S. warmongering.
This is why the white guilt thing is such a thing with white nationalists, is because you don't ever face your own history because you're trying to be a nationalist. So you whitewash everything and make your nation seem fucking great. Right. But this is why, as Marxists, we gotta be internationalists. And that's how you are able to be critical of yourself, because you don't give a fuck about your nation, quote unquote.
Right.
We work the workers internationally with the people. So you're able to self-criticize. But yeah.
It's incredibly important.
It's fucked up. Like it mentions here, Gerald Horne was talking about during the Balkan Wars, the U.S. told Belgrade to face its history, no matter how painful it is. When it comes to the United States, no, don't face history because it makes people feel bad. Again, I don't know. Hypocrisy doesn't matter.
No doubt. And I did want to mention something this made me think about while you're going through this. I didn't add in the notes and script but Texas also has a very significant influence over the textbook and what gets put in our textbooks.
Yes, I forgot about this.
I know. I just thought about that literally.
So why is that?
It's because they are a big state with a lot of people, and
they purchase.
They purchase a lot. Yeah,
like one of the, I guess, the largest order. It's kind of interesting because I figure California has to be
you would
close.
Think, yeah. But it's a larger state by population for sure.
But I do know, it's Texas, whichever textbooks or whatever versions of what they want in the textbooks.
Right.
Typically, the nation goes with them because they buy so many, and then the company is just like, well, this is what we got to sell you.
Right.
So that's interesting.
I wonder why that, Democrats suck. That's why. Yeah, that's why. That's what I'm going to put up to. The liberals suck. They want exactly.
Go check out Project 2029 and see how radical these motherfuckers are. I also like this quote from Gerald Horne. Fascism, which is in some ways a combination of the worst aspects of both slavery and Jim Crow.
Yeah.
It's good. Let's do another quote. Dunbar Ortiz. This is from his book, An Indigenous People's History. You quoted before. The history of the United States is a history of settler colonialism, the founding of a state based on the ideology of white supremacy, the widespread practice of African slavery, and a policy of genocide and land theft. Those who seek history with an upbeat ending, a history of redemption and reconciliation, may look around and observe that such a conclusion is not visible, not even in utopian dreams of a better society. Oof, mic drop.
Man.
So yeah, come on, guys. I don't know. it's never been difficult for me to be critical of America, so I don't quite get it, or even white people, but it's very hard for some people. Eric Williams, there's a quote or an excerpt from his book, Capitalism and Slavery. Quote, it produced the cotton to serve as a base for modern capitalism. It made the American South and the Caribbean islands, seen in historical perspective, it forms a part of that general picture of the rise of commercial capitalism. Modern day capitalism was built on this slavery and the specific Atlantic slave trade. So that's just, again, it's just like, man, you want to reap all the benefits and just pretend what is done to build it. Can we just pretend that didn't happen?
Right.
It's crazy.
Quick interjection here.
Yeah.
Because I was just curious why California. This is what AI says.
All right.
California is actually a bigger market, but decentralized. Hundreds of school districts, each making their own purchasing decisions. So the buying power is fragmented, and publishers can't write to one Californian standard. Texas kept a centralized system. Really? The Republicans kept a centralized system.
Centralized state government. Okay.
One board, one decision, one massive coordinated
That sounds
purchase.
very democratic to me, but go ahead.
That's the leverage. And that board had been dominated for decades by an organized conservative bloc that knew exactly what they were doing. So 2 sentences for the script comes up. California is actually a bigger market, but their purchasing power is decentralized. Okay. So essentially, for some reason, California decided to decentralize their education.
I don't know. It's a little more democratic, sounds like to me.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's another thing. I'm about to make it my new mission to redefine freedom and democracy. Because, the way the right tries to be, or they don't try to be, they be taking our language and just be like flipping it as if they don't even know what woke means. But like, you know what? I'm just going to be like, you guys, you don't like democracy, or you would decentralize Texas so all of its school districts can make their own choices. Right. So maybe you don't like democracy as much. But just they've gotten really good at propagandizing the idea that they are the democracy and freedom people. And even with this new pledge from the centrist Democrats saying we are not communists because we are democratic and freedom people. You're not. You can't just fucking say that, guys.
Right.
It's like fucking Kevin O'Leary saying it's obvious. All of our enemies, there's only one that doesn't want us to do this. It's fucking stupid. It's a stupid argument. Stop making it. But yeah, is there one more clip here? I think there is. All right, we got one more clip from Gerald Horn. Let me go ahead and play that.
And I guess we shouldn't talk about slavery. Well, it was very interesting. I recall during the during the Balkans Wars of the 1990s in the former Yugoslavia, you had these U.S. pundits and analysts. They're always turning to Belgrade and saying, "You need to face your history, no matter how painful and ugly. That's the only way you can get out of that crisis." But when it comes to the United States, no, don't face the history because that makes people feel bad. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's obviously a sarcastic laughter because the joke is really on people like myself, because Glenn Youngkin was able to catapult into the governor's mansion in Richmond. You have Governor DeSantis of Florida, who may be the next U.S. president, who is also campaigning against what he sees happening in the public schools that are making little Jennifer and little Johnny feel badly. And so you've had these laws passed against the 1619 Project, and you've had laws passed with regard to circumscribing the teaching of slavery in the United States of America. So obviously, this is a way to pave the way to come full circle for a further growth of right-wing forces based upon a sanitizing of the ugly history of this country, so to prepare people for an even uglier future.
Bingo. Nailed it. That's what DeSantis is doing with New College of Florida. That's what they try to do with the dude they try to get installed on the board of UWF. Yeah. Whenever they say colleges are radical liberal places that are brainwashing your kids, really all they're doing is telling you like slavery is a thing that happened. Maybe we should think about that. And they're like, nah, definitely not. If they were radical colleges, they would be like, slavery is a thing that happened. We should overthrow this fucking government right now, baby. But they try to conflate radical with centrist Democrats as if it's all the fucking same thing. Centrist Democrats apparently fall right into the trap to where they have to make pledges to say that's not them.
Right.
Trust me, I know. We all know you're not communist. You don't have one fucking communist policy ever. But yeah. So that's fun. You gotta be self-reflective, people. Don't be jingoistic or nationalistic just because.
Unless the World Cup's on.
Well, that's the one time.
Or the Olympics.
I can root for America. Yeah, or the FIBA basketball or Olympic basketball.
Right.
Sports, this is actually, I've seen a lot of great stuff. I've seen the South Koreans and the Mexicans.
Yeah,
get
it's
along,
actually it's a
having
unifier.
good time. The Germans came here and they're like, oh, you guys got Buc-ee's? What the fuck is this?
They
This is
love
crazy.
Buc-ee's.
Look, man, sports is the way we should be handling things because it really unites people. That's the way we can fuel the tribalism and nationalism because we got to fuel it some way. Otherwise, we're going to end up where we're now.
No doubt.
Actually, we have the World Cup, so it's not really helping. Maybe we need more World Cups?
I think they should do the World Cup at least every 2 years.
That doesn't seem,
Every 2 years. I mean, they expanded the teams this year, so maybe they'll change it to every 2 years.
Or we just need a Premier League like the rest of the world.
We don't have a Premier League?
Hell no. We have Major League Soccer. It's not Premier, it's just whack.
There you go.
So yeah, Juneteenth. It's really about the second Juneteenth. That's a good one.
No doubt. A lot of people don't know that.
That's the takeaway from this episode.
Go read Gerald Horn.
Gerald Horn.
Do better than me because I actually haven't read a whole Gerald Horn book. But he's got.
But you listen to the audiobook.
Well, I listened to some of not this. He doesn't have this one on audio. I couldn't find it. The 1836 one. He does. I think the 1776 one is on audiobook. I have his autobiography by Paul Robeson. It's not an autobiography. It's a biography of Paul Robeson, which I did start reading that. I have the actual book for that. But yeah, he's written like 50 plus books. He's like probably my favorite historian. He's a prolific writer. Like he's literally writing books constantly. Like he gets done with one book and then I'll watch an interview and he's like, yeah, I'm working on something else right now. He's constantly putting out shit. So, but
the Taylor Sheridan of leftist politics.
I don't know who Taylor Sheridan is.
He's the guy that wrote like all those TV shows like Yellowstone and the movie Sicario and 1886. He's a prolific writer.
Gotcha.
Just not with as good stuff, just with like propaganda.
Oh, gotcha.
So like the negative of Gerald Horn. So guys, go read Gerald Horn instead.
For sure.
But yeah, I don't really have any other. I have something else, but I'm going to save it for the next one because it's going to take a minute.
All right. And then I did want to, we got to shout out Venezuela. They just had some earthquakes.
2 of them, yeah. Fucked them up.
So, if you can donate or help in any way, if you know any Venezuelan people, reach out to them, see if they need anything. People who are actually in Venezuela.
For sure.
That.
Not Venezuelan Americans.
Yeah. Most of them are reactionary.
Yes.
But,
diaspora.
Yes. So, it was really, I think there was 7.2 and a 7.5.
Yeah, they're expecting like around 1,000 people dead was the last prediction I saw. It reached over like 700 or something, which is not good.
Wait, it says the death toll has climbed steadily and now stands at more than 1,700.
17? Shit.
Dang.
Yeah, I saw a couple of videos and it was bad. Like fucking whole buildings just collapsed, like
Right.
apartment buildings. I was like, oh fuck, earthquakes, no good.
Yeah, and then of course, we've had sanctions on Venezuela for years. We've covered that in previous episodes.
We sure did.
So none of that helps. I think they lifted some of the sanctions briefly. I don't even think they lifted them fully. So we definitely want to put pressure on the government to get rid of those sanctions completely, because they should have never been placed on Venezuela to begin with, because Venezuela needs all the aid and trade and economic activity it can generate right now to recover from this earthquake. So that's important. Also, I saw something that the U.S. was sending its own aid. You always want to be wary of the U.S. sending aid.
U.S. aid?
Because that usually comes with, regime change operations or some sort of covert action or military plan. So we want to keep a close eye on Venezuela because, we saw what happened for example, in Haiti after the earthquake, right? There was a lot of malfeasance. The UN came in. There was reports of girls being raped and human trafficking and outbreaks of cholera. And then there was a lot of corporations who benefited off of the earthquake. I mean, what we saw is like a lot of the aid never really got to the Haitian people. So that's something I'm concerned about when it comes to Venezuela, that it's going to be used as a way for a few people to make money while the Venezuelan people continue to suffer. So we got to keep a close eye on that.
What I'm seeing here is 50 million is going through groups such as the World Food Program and International Medical Corps. I don't know what that is. And 100 million is going through UN pooled humanitarian fund. But I just want to put that in contrast. That's 150 million we give them for aid. The United States has controlled roughly $2 billion in Venezuelan oil sale proceeds by late February 2026. So since we've overthrown Maduro, we've controlled about $2 billion of oil sales from Venezuela. And then they had these terrible earthquakes. We're like, here's 150 mil. Shut the fuck up. Be all right.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah, man, it's not good. I hate that this happened right now. Like,
yeah, it's fucking
Venezuela
awful timing.
can't catch a break. But so yeah, we gotta keep a close eye on that because I know people are gonna be trying to take advantage of this situation. In the
cough Chevron.
Yeah, well, Chevron and every other financial institution in the West.
Yeah.
And then also shout out to Cuba. Cuba is, there's a lot of pressure on Cuba right now.
Hands off Cuba.
Hands off Cuba as well. There's still some concerns that the U.S. might intervene militarily. Cuba has recently did some economic reforms to open up their economy a bit in an effort to sort of manage the stress that it's been under with all these with the oil blockade and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So right now the Cuban people are just trying to stay afloat, stay alive, and we want to keep a close eye on that because the U.S. government obviously is having a difficult time in Iran. That conflict is still ongoing. I don't think that's going to actually simmer down. I think that's probably about to kind of, it's like a hot cold war. It's hot and cold. One day they're firing.
It's hot and cold if you believe our propaganda. It seems like it's just a hot war.
Yeah, constantly. It's definitely a hot war,
and ain't nothing cold about it. We're not. Marco Rubio just said yesterday, or maybe it was today. Them having fees on the strait is unacceptable, and Iran's like, we're having fees on the strait. It's part of every goddamn negotiation. I don't understand it's got to be so frustrating negotiating with us.
Oh yeah,
hey motherfucker, this is what it is, and we're like, okay, but no.
Yeah, the Russian foreign minister, Lavrov, he famously said that the United States is agreement incapable. And that is
Hell
absolutely
yes.
true.
Absolutely.
We are agreement incapable. But you're right. No, it's a hot war. It's not really. I don't know why I said hot and cold. I mean in the sense
it seems that way. If you follow the oil market, then you would think that.
Right.
The way they're manipulating the shit with the news.
Right.
But yeah, and I know the reason have not moved on to Cuba yet is because they don't know how to fucking deal with this. And I really think that they thought they'd be out of this and they'd have an out by now. And now I kind of feel like they're stuck, but they're also making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I don't think they really give a shit. I don't think they don't care about Cuba. Marco Rubio cares about Cuba.
Yeah, that's definitely Marco Rubio's pet project.
So hopefully that will save Cuba.
I'm hoping so.
But
yeah, so
goddamn imperialists. Can y'all just chill the fuck out?
It's too much, man. Too much.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on all those conflicts because they're ongoing.
And something's going on in Albania. Jared Kushner is trying to buy an island, and apparently the whole country rose up. So
yeah, shout out to the
maybe
Albanians.
we should take notes.
Yeah,
that's what's up, Albania. Good job, proud of y'all
for sure.
But yeah, we're almost at like fucking an hour, and we're at an hour and 45 minutes. All right. Any final thoughts?
Nah, I think we got it. We covered it pretty well for the most part, and we'll probably be back soon with like a more freestyle episode with just current events and maybe a little pop culture or something. You know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Well, shout out to all the comrades around the world. International Proletarian. How did Fred say that shit? International Proletarian Revolutionary Struggle.
Bam.
Said that shit so fast. All right. Peace out, y'all.
Later.
There's no way to be committed to nonviolence in the middle of the most violent society that history's ever created. I'm not committed to nonviolence in any way.
The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are beholden to the interests of monopoly capitalism in this country.
The capitalist European and North American powers have carved out and taken the timber, the flax, the hemp, the cocoa, the rum, the tin, the copper, the iron, the rubber, the bauxite, the slaves, and the cheap labor. They have taken out of these countries. These countries are not underdeveloped, they're overexploited.
The liberals are, at times, allies. At times, they're unreliable allies. So I don't want to just whitewash them. You've got to proceed quite cautiously with liberals.
The man or woman who knows the least about communism is the man or woman who wants to know the least about communism. That is to say, snakes are my enemies. They come to bite me, and I don't even want to know what they look like.
What's happening here for the last 4 years? Brutality, humiliation, our basic human rights taken away from us. All of this has to come to an end through talking. So what? We take their offer, put their uniform on. This last 4 years meant nothing. We could do that, no. Or we could behave like the army we proclaim to be and lay down our lives for our comrades.